Hello. Are you here for the outreach and public participation?
Yes. Is this for the One Bay Area plan?
Yes. Welcome. It is a great plan.
If you say so.
You do not agree that it is a great plan?
I don't know.
So you are here to learn. That is wonderful. What you will learn is that it is a great plan?
I don't know much about it. I just have some questions.
What kind of questions?
Just questions about the plan.
You are a Tea Party person, aren't you?
I don't drink tea. I prefer coffee. Is that okay?
Where is your tinfoil hat?
I do not have a tin hat. But I do have an old fishing hat. Do I need a hat to go into the meeting?
What kind of questions?
Well, I heard they are going to build an apartment building by the freeway.
You are a NIMBY, aren't you?
I'm a Catholic.
Not in my backyard. That is what you believe.
I live in a condo. I don't have a backyard.
You probably go from city to city making trouble, don't you?
I live around the corner. I just thought I'd walk over and see what's up.
You drive a gas-guzzling car, don't you?
I drive a Prius. It's a zero-emissions vehicle.
That does not matter. We have to get people out of their cars.
But we need our car to take our son to school and soccer and Boy Scouts, and to buy stuff at the Home Depot and to see Grandma and go to the doctors.
It sounds like you are closed-minded. Tea Party and NIMBY closed-minded. Why are you really here?
I guess because our local school is overcrowded and they have to raise money every year from the community to pay for supplies and art classes. And our sewer system does not work so good and our roads have potholes. So I'm wondering if the plan is going to help us with that when they build the apartment building.
You are racist, aren't you?
No, I was just asking. Maybe I should just go into the meeting.
You think people of color don't need to have supplies and art classes or have sewers or potholes?
No, I think that the people of color also need art supplies and sewers and potholes. Can't I go into the meeting now?
You think you can just go on living your lily white lifestyle with no diversity and only think about yourself?
My wife is Chinese and we just adopted a little girl from Colombia. And my sister in Stockton used to be my half-black half-brother, but he got the sex change, but she still likes girls too, so I think she's LGBT. Does that count?
You only look out for your own butt.
Actually, I look at my wife's butt more than my own. Is there something about my butt in the plan?
You think you do not have to do your fair share.
What is my fair share?
We need to build the housing for the workforce jobs, so they do not have to drive to their jobs.
I was unemployed for a year. But I just found a job in Oakland, so I have to drive there.
Why are you really here?
I am not sure anymore. But I read that living in an apartment next to a freeway is not healthy for children and old people. Aren't the new apartments they are planning to build mostly for young families and old people?
It is good for the environment.
But I read that buildings use 40% of our energy.
High-density apartment buildings next to the freeway will reduce greenhouse gases because people will be able to walk to everything they need and not have cars.
But there are no food stores around here.
It is the smart growth.
But there are no jobs around here.
It is the new urbanism.
But in our small suburban towns, people have to drive to things.
They will use public transportation. Transit-oriented development that is good for the environment.
But the only public transportation we have is a couple of buses, but they recently cut down on how often they run.
That is why we must build the housing, so the public transportation has some place to go to.
Are you sure about this? I read that buses and trains also produce greenhouse gases.
You are an elitist, aren't you?
I'm a Democrat. Does that matter?
You think you are special because you own a home.
We rent our condo. But we worked hard and saved and just bought our first house. We are hoping that if we fix it up someday it will be worth more and help us to retire without depending so much on the government to take care of us.
You are a classist, aren't you?
What's a classist?
You think that owning a home makes you better than other people.
It's just that we always dreamed of owning a home.
Why did you come here tonight if you are not open to new ideas?
I guess I was just wondering if the plan had figured in the cost of all the city services the new apartment building residents will need. The services are paid for by our property taxes. But I heard the apartment building is low income, so it won't have to pay property taxes for city services.
The state law says that is okay.
But an architect friend of mine says that it would be better to build smaller infill projects so we could integrate everyone into our community.
The state law does not say that.
But I was just wondering, if the plan is such a good idea, why don't we get to vote on it?
The state law does not require it.
Well, I was just wondering because we have people in our community who need housing. Old people, young people, people that want to live alternative lifestyles but they don't want to live in a small apartment with no yard, next to a freeway or busy street. They moved here to get away from that.
RENA requires us to build it for them because they are the workforce.
I don't know Rena. Who is she?
The Regional Housing Needs Assessment Housing Quota. It requires us to build it. To do our fair share for the workforce.
But what if there aren't any jobs?
The RENA says we have to do our fair share for the workforce.
Who comes up with the RENA?
The HCD.
What is the HCD?
The Housing and Community Development Agency. They work with the MPO to assign the RENA.
What is the MPO?
The Metropolitan Planning Organization. They are the ABAG and the MTC.
Who is the ABAG and the MTC?
The Association of Bay Area Governments and the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. They work with the BAQM and the BCDC and the HCD.
Boy, I'm really confused. So they come up with the RENA for my city?
Yes, the executives at the HCD and the MTC and the ABAG come up with the RENA that every city needs to build to do their fair share for the workforce.
Do I get to vote for the executives at the HCD and the MTC and the ABAG who come up with the RENA?
No. But you do not have to worry about that. You only need to make sure that your city builds the units for the workforce RENA quota public transportation-oriented development that is good for the environment.
Do the executives at the HCD and the MTC and the ABAG live in the units for the workforce RENA quota public transportation-oriented development that is good for the environment?
No.
Do the executives at the HCD and the MTC and the ABAG give us money to build the RENA quota public transportation-oriented development that is good for the environment?
No.
Will the plan make them do that?
I can see that you are a person who is only negative and you do not have any solutions.
I'm not a planner. I'm a car mechanic.
Like I said.
But isn't the ABAG and the MTC using our tax money to pay for the plan? So shouldn't we ask questions?
I can see that you are a person who does not want anything to ever change.
Why do you say that?
Because it is a great plan.
But I know someone who wanted to build housing for poor migrant workers so they could live where they work, but the building had a shared kitchen for 30 people, so the fair share quota only counted it as one unit.
That is because that is the state law.
But I know someone who wanted to renovate some old apartment buildings in a rundown neighborhood to make better housing for poor elderly people, but the ABAG said the units didn't count.
That is because that is the state law.
But I don't understand any of this.
That is because you are an elitist, classist, racist, Tea Party NIMBY and you do not want to do your fair share. You are a person who thinks everything is a UN conspiracy. You think it is all Agenda 21 and Area 51 and alien abduction and anal probing.
I do not think I would like the anal probing. Is that in the plan?
It is because of people like you that there is so much suffering and social injustice in the world. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Gosh. I did not realize I was such a bad person. Maybe I should just go home.
That is so typical. You are too busy to get involved in the process and then all you do is complain. That is why we need the plan. It is a great plan. Thank you for attending the Plan Bay Area Outreach and Public Participation meeting.